Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to the Red Couch Podcast. I'm your host, Micah. Alright, so we've got some big news out of the Big 12. The Big 12 will in fact be adding 4 new teams and expanding to 12. Reports are suggesting that's going to be as early as the 2023 season. Right now it could be as late as the 2025 season, which is when the Big 12 media deal ends. And so our 4 new teams are BYU, Cincinnati, Central Florida, and Houston. All 4 of them were viewed as the top 4, group of 5 conference teams available. In my opinion, but 4 solid pickups. BYU is a nationally recognized brand. Cincinnati's had a really solid last 5-10 years of football, as well as Central Florida, and Houston is in the Houston market, so Houston's Houston. Can't go wrong with that. What do these 4 teams bring to a conference that is viewed as being substantially weakened by the loss of Oklahoma and Texas? Let's take an in-depth look at what each school brings. Let's dive right into BYU. BYU is located in Provo, Utah, with an enrollment of over 29,000 students, which is bigger than many of the current Big 12 schools that are going to be remaining. Their television market, one of the biggest factors in everything, is the Salt Lake City market, which is number 33 in the nation, which would be the 5th biggest in the new Big 12. But they also have a huge national following with the LDS community. So they have fans nationwide, worldwide, and even for kicking their games off at sometimes 9 or as late as 10 p.m. Eastern time, they still would average a viewership that was about equal and sometimes surpassed the remaining 8 schools in the Big 12, even though those schools are kicking off at like noon, 3, sometimes 7 o'clock. So it's a really impressive viewership base that they're bringing in that could definitely help boost the overall value of the conference. Currently, as it stands, BYU is actually an independent in football. Every other sport, or most of their sports, they play in the Mountain West and compete there. But football, their brand, they've deemed has been big enough that they could go independent. And it seems like it's worked out pretty well for them. They're coached by Kalani Sitake, who's in his 6th year. I don't remember who their coach was before, but man, he was killing it for a while there. The last 5 years, their record's been 38-26, which is a .594 winning percentage. Pretty impressive. Overall, they won. They're national champions. No one else in the remaining Big 12 can say that from a football perspective. They won the 1984 national title. They've gone to 34 bowls, and they had the 1990 Heisman winner with Ty Detmer. They also actually have a pretty solid basketball program as well, with 29 NCAA appearances, 3 Elite Eights. They are a brand that can bring a lot to the new Big 12. Next up on our list is Cincinnati. Naturally, the University of Cincinnati in Cincinnati. There are almost 43,000, which I do believe is bigger. Texas Tech was the biggest remaining Big 12 school, and I think if I remember right, their enrollment's only 38,000 or something like that. So they would become, thus far on our list, the biggest school. UCF's bigger than them, but we'll get to them. They play in the Cincinnati television market, which is number 34 in the nation. And they're going to be the 6th biggest in the new Big 12 in terms of television market size. They're also in the Ohio area, which would give the Big 12 a foothold up in the Ohio area for recruiting, which naturally is going to be Ohio State territory, Big 10 territory in the past. But having Cincinnati in the conference will give us a foothold in a spot that we can build a recruiting basis of conference out of in that area, which is a very fertile recruiting ground. Currently, Cincinnati plays in the American Athletic Conference. Them, UCF, and Houston are all coming on over. In football, they've been to 17 bowls, 5 conference titles since 2008. Cincinnati's been a super solid school for the last 5 years. They've gone 39-22, which is a .639 winning percentage. They're coached by Luke Fickell, who is in his 5th season. Basketball, they've been super solid in the past 2, with Mick Cronin back in the day. They've won 2 NCAA titles, 6 Final Fours, been to 30 NCAA appearances. They are a brand that I feel like could have been in a Power 5 conference in the past. It just never kind of shook out the way that they needed it to get there. but I think they're going to fit right in. Next up is UCF, the University of Central Florida. UCF is going to be the most southeast program that the Big 12 is going to have in the conference. In my opinion, UCF is a big grab for the Big 12 because, one, they play in the Orlando TV market, which is the 19th largest TV market in the nation, which will make them the third biggest in the new Big 12. I know they share the state with Miami, Florida State, Florida, yada, yada, yada. But this step up for UCF, I do believe, will give them a bigger foothold in that area. In the last 5 years, they have been super solid. Gus Malzahn's in his first year this year, but so far they're 1-0. Both Josh Heupel and Scott Frost, over the last 5 years, they've had a combined record of 47-15, which is a 758 winning percentage, including what they call the 2017 national title when they went undefeated. Currently, like I said, they already play in the American Athletic Conference as it currently stands. They've been to 7 bowls. In basketball, they have 4 NCAA tournament appearances. That school is gigantic. They've got 61,000 students, and they're going to give us a huge recruiting ground. Or they're going to give us a permanent foothold in the grounds of Florida for the Big 12 to be able to recruit out of, which is traditionally always been SEC territory. There's plenty of talent to go around, but I do believe that having a school positioned in Florida will give the Big 12 even more of a wider berth into the pipeline that is the Florida recruiting market. And finally, we've got Houston. Houston is an interesting school. There's been some controversy with them in the past when there was going to be a 2016 expansion with Tillman Fertitta basically calling out the Big 12 for just kind of having a beauty pageant for all these schools that they were trying to add when they already knew they were going to add TCU in West Virginia. But Houston's a really good school to add to the conference. Under Dana Holgorsen in the last couple of years, they have been struggling. I think they're like 7-14 as it currently stands under him. But overall, the last 5 years, they have a 31-27 record, which is a 534 winning percentage. And since the advent of the playoff format, them and UCF both have reached, actually all 4 of these teams, have reached New Year's Six bowls or have gotten very near it, with BYU finishing 11th last year. Houston's also got an enrollment of 43,000 students, which, once again, was going to be bigger than any other school that's currently in the Big 12, smaller than UCF and around the size of Cincinnati. The television market, that's the big money spot here. The Houston television market is number 10, which is going to be the second in the new Big 12. Just like with Florida and with Ohio, Texas and especially Houston is a huge recruiting ground with tons and tons of talent. So it'll be very nice for the Big 12 to be able to have a school located there that they can also be hopefully more successful in getting talent out of the Houston area to come to the Big 12. Currently, they play on the American Athletic Conference. I mean, in the past, they've been in 24 bowls. They've got the 1989 Heisman Trophy winner in Andre Ware. And at basketball, they've been incredibly impressive in the past, too. I mean, they've got 19 NCAA appearances, 5 Final Fours. They've got things going for them. They're a very solid program. And all 4 of these schools, I'm incredibly excited for them to come to the Big 12. I will be 100%. I didn't know how things were going to shake out to start with, but the way they have shaken out, I'm really excited for this new Big 12. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Oklahoma and Texas in the upcoming years. As far as realignment has gone, no team has played out their entire waiting period or had like a lame duck season in a conference when they were deciding they were going to leave. As it currently stands, being 2021, Oklahoma and Texas are planning to leave at 2025. I find that to be highly unlikely. I don't know if each school wants to pay their north of $80 million exit fees and other fees that I'm sure will try to get tacked on. I feel like that's all things that lawyers are going to have to decide, but I doubt that they'll end up playing out the entirety of their deal. But I would really actually like to see it for 2 years with Oklahoma and Texas in the league with these 4 new schools. I think it'll help with the TV package going forward to kind of put more eyeballs on those games because, of course, people are going to watch Texas and Oklahoma games. And when they play these new schools, it'll give a national audience to these schools as well. But if they do come to a negotiation that they're going to leave before the 2025 season, that works as well. Either way, I think the Big 12 is. I'm very proud of Bob Bowlesby and the Big 12 for taking initiative and making a move. Something that they have been crushed for in the past for always being reactive. On this, they got this done in 2 weeks' time. They got 4 new schools applied and on the cusp of being approved and officially added. The Big 12 is moving in the right direction, I do believe, and I'm excited to see where we go from here. Hey, thank you guys so much for taking the time to listen to the Red Couch podcast today. Do feel free to tune in again next time, keeping you guys posted all season. Thanks. Hope you'll have a great one.